they put the logo of YouTube and were like, Happy Teachers Day.
Oh my God.
We have the internet and we have YouTube. We have educators on YouTube. I am a good student because I study. If asked a question, I can answer it. I can explain it to other people. I have good grades. Then I'm a bad student there.
You are a bad student that way, yeah.
But
Really affects those
Mhm.
students
Yeah.
if they are threatened
Mhm.
to not. Their student might start going for classes, but वो पीछे बैठ के फोन भी चला सकता है. But there
Oh
are
my God.
teachers जिनके classes में मैं फोन निकाल भी नहीं सकते हम लोग.
If given a choice, you would always choose YouTube teachers over your regular teacher, yes or no? Although we are speaking, in such a candid way, there's something beneath very serious thing that's happening.
Mhm. Hello everyone. So the last time we shot the podcast with Sir, we actually had a lot of fun, but since we were falling short of time, we had to end the discussion. So today we have gathered here once again to discuss about a few topics that were left out. So as you can see, we're in the same clothes.
Huh.
So thank you, Sir, for giving us the opportunity once again, and welcome back to the channel.
Thank you, Subharthi, and thank you both of you to have shown the interest to come back again. And we don't have Milan Ovin today, but that's fine. We will discuss with both of you. So the first topic or the first issue that I want to discuss from both of you is, before Corona, our approach of teaching was different from the time after Corona. Our entire system got disrupted that way. We had to change everything from the the kind of syllabus we were delivering, from the kind of mental framework that we used to have to teach the students, from the online teaching and the transition from the online to back to the offline teaching, and the students' response that we were receiving on the answer scripts in the class, of course, during the offline session, everything changed at all. So I need your perspective, because I have never thought from the students' perspective how might it has changed your view on teaching learning process. I should start with you, Marisha.
Sir, to be honest, that shift during lockdown, that everybody was trying to adapt to that new methods of learning and teaching, and that was a very hard time for the teachers as well as the students. And we also had our exams coming up, so as students, personally I would say that I was kind of forced to look for other methods to learn, because we were still trying to adapt. And for me it wasn't say enough. I felt that if I just relied on that, I was gonna slack off in my grades.
Relied on only that means only what?
Only the teachings that were being offered through online modes by the institute.
Okay.
So hence we have the internet and we have YouTube, we have educators on YouTube, and many other platforms are also there. So I decided on just looking for some tough topics. I would study on my own, and other than that, if I would find some topic hard, I would go on YouTube, search for it. And in trying to learn about that certain hard topic, I got to know that there were a lot of educators out there with a very structured program with full course syllabus and notes and everything they were offering. So I found that very easy to follow. And meanwhile, in the institute, everybody was still trying to adapt, and they were just doing a trial and error method, what was best for us in exams and classes and everything. So I found that YouTube was giving me a more structured way, and hence I started learning from there.
YouTube Academy.
YouTube Academy.
Okay.
And it was very easy to follow and very easy to learn for me. And after
Why was
lockdown,
it easy to follow? Was it because you could pause whenever you wanted to?
Yeah,
get back?
It was according to my own pace and my own time. I am a night owl. I study at night, and I sleep in the day. So
Okay.
I didn't have to attend classes in a certain time frame. And other than that, the teachers were also available, that if I did have any questions, then I could ask them. So
Like the regular teachers?
yeah.
Okay.
So it was a very nice structure for me, that I can study from here. If I have a question, I can ask my teachers, and yeah, I was just thriving there. My CGPA just shot up.
Really?
And yeah.
Okay.
And so after lockdown, I really liked the lockdown system, so I kept doing that. I stopped going to classes. My teachers would complain, ये class नहीं आती है. And I'm the CR of my class. And I didn't go to classes.
What is CR?
Class representative.
Okay.
And I didn't go to classes.
Okay. Bad
So my
example.
teachers
Bad
would
leader.
be very, very mad at me. Why don't you come to class? I would do the paperwork and other work, but I won't go to classes. And they would even threaten sometimes. I will give you FA. You have very short attendance. And I am aware of the attendance rule, but I just didn't
You
follow
still
it.
took your chance, right?
Yeah, I played a gamble, and in the end,
It paid off.
yeah, it paid off. My CGPA stayed in the top 10 students, and the teachers were also like,
पढ़ाई
Okay.
कर रही है, marks आ
Okay.
रही है, results आ रही है, so like why
Okay.
complain, right?
Yeah. So, and that has followed me till now. In my last semester, I barely went to countable classes, and my CGPA is still good. And
You are lucky
my
that this
education is also
episode
not
will be shown
compromised.
after you are officially clear from the clutches of this institute,
Yeah.
okay?
I was very scared to say this.
No, I think this YouTube thing has influenced us so much that after Corona, during Teachers' Day, when the memes started coming out, they put the logo of YouTube and were like, Happy Teachers' Day.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I saw that and I was like, that's true, because YouTube in a way has become our teacher. For example, if today I were to take a a drop and then prepare for my gate, I would depend on rather the online courses than go to some offline institute.
Yeah.
Because I find that's very flexible and that's very easy for us. Although we did go to schools, I mean, schools were offline for us completely. College was also offline for us. But when we explored the online arena of education, then I think we realized that it's much better. And then after that, when we came, it was very, very difficult for us to cope up. It was not difficult for me to wake up in the morning because I would sleep late,
Okay.
sleep early. And I also was regular in my classes, except the last semester where I went to 10 classes.
I went to 6.
I had three
Man,
subjects.
you guys are proud of it, man.
I'm not proud of it. It's just that
I mean, she's topping you over like 10 classes, 3 classes.
I had 3 subjects and combined all of them, I went for only 10 classes. After midsem, 0 classes.
Oh my
So,
God.
Same.
so I'm not really proud of that, but yeah, because of projects and all, I thought कि ये तो मैं YouTube से भी सीख सकती हूँ, but project का मेरा time चला जाएगा in other things, so I just took my chance.
I was just badmash. I don't have any excuse to say why I didn't go to class.
But although we are speaking, in such a candid way, there's something beneath very serious thing that's happening. What it simply means that the offline teachers are getting less regards these days because the YouTube has taken over, and this is something for us to worry about. But then it's a matter of fact that even us, we learn through YouTube. We do not necessarily follow a single book for the problems that we have to solve for the students, because the single book will have the mindset of the author that has written the book. But when you look at YouTube, there are multiple ways to solve that particular problem, and then when you go through all of them, you devise your own way to solve that problem. So that way, all of us are YouTube students. Fine. So if given a choice, you would always choose YouTube teachers over your regular teacher, yes or no?
Sir, it's not like the YouTube teachers are better. It's just like it's easier to follow. Teachers are good everywhere. At least for me, my offline teachers are also very experienced and very knowledgeable.
You are being diplomatic here. You
No,
have to take a
it's a
position.
fact. It's a fact.
Okay, you have
When
to
I
take a
do
position.
attend the classes,
Okay, you have
when
to.
I do attend the classes, I do like it.
Okay.
But it's difficult for me to incorporate myself into that routine now that I'm so comfortable in the YouTube routine.
So teachers, I feel all of them are good. All of them have the knowledge, but it's the way you impart the knowledge that you have. Some teachers, for some subjects, they try their best. I can see that they have the knowledge, but it's just that they lack in that skill to impart the knowledge. So in those cases, we refer to YouTube, and it's not like if we go to regular classes, then I don't really need YouTube before the exams, because I have followed my teacher. I know what's going to come in the exam, so I can just refer to my notes. But for subjects where the teacher is not being able to deliver the way it has to be delivered, then YouTube is the only solution that we have.
I'll stick to my question again. If given a choice, which would you choose? Take a position.
So that only depends on the teacher. If the teacher is doing it correctly, I mean the way I want it or the way the other students want it, I would prefer that teacher over YouTube teachers. But if that person is not being able to do, then then it's like I have no other option. I have to rely on some other sources.
Okay.
As a school student, if I were in school, I would say that offline learning would be better, because classroom learning, the very essence of education comes from there. Because teachers teach you more than just book knowledge. But right now, in this point in my life, I would prefer online learning because I have a routine and I would love to stick to that.
Okay. It's like we as teachers, when we go to classes, we not necessarily go with that frame of mindset that I have to teach only the syllabus. We also conduct ourselves in that way, so that any student wants to see me as somebody 10 years in the future, he will see something good in me. That way, what happens is our personality comes into the picture when we take when we take classes in person. I think that is lacking in YouTube. Like it's just like whoever is the person on the other side of the screen, still he's not a person there, right? It's just an AI that speak, not AI. Let's say the machine is speaking. So that personal connect is definitely missing when you learn through YouTube. And let's say when one more thing like that, when in a normal delivery of classes offline, the connect between the teachers and students that form during the course of discussion is where the students understand a lot beyond what the points maybe the teachers want to discuss with, because the connection is so strong that you almost understand what could be the next thing that he would be saying, and on what context, on what background, back-end mindset that he's speaking these things. So these are smart things subconsciously that happens that you can only find through offline teaching. These are at least my pointers that I'm giving to you. So if I am being given a choice to either learn from a guru or teacher or or a screen, I would always choose a guru over the screen.
Sir, as I myself said that after a certain point, if I'm finding something hard, then I go to some mentor, some teacher only. So in the end, we are still dependent on our offline teachers.
Yeah, that means we cannot completely brush off the offline teaching thing. Although you're
maybe online, maybe online teaching can be a
classes नहीं जाना वो तो बिगड़ने
maybe online learning can be a support system to your offline learning.
Yes, shouldn't be the primary mode of learning tool or learning source. Okay, so which characteristic would you put to call somebody a bad teacher? In the previous podcast, we discussed about good teacher stuff. Let's say, who are the bad teachers?
So I wouldn't label that teacher as bad.
Label it. Say it. Like, what are the behavioral traits or characteristics? Let's put it that way.
Undesirable traits.
Undesirable traits would, firstly, that I mentioned, that not being able to impart it properly.
Okay.
The way it should be done. There are teachers whose focus would be to finish the syllabus and not taking a feedback from the students or understanding if the students have really understood the topics. Firstly, that. Secondly, the empathetic behavior that we discussed in the previous podcast, that you have done this, you have committed not a crime, but you have done this blunder, so now I'll give you an FA. You don't come to classes, I'll give you an FA. So teachers like those, I think there are teachers who take these things very personally. So I think that shouldn't be taken personally. That's one trait. Yeah, these two are for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And sometimes I, from my personal experience, tried to approach some teachers when I was actually having some problems, why I wasn't able to go to classes just after lockdown. And I would try to explain that, sir, this is my problem, and I might be able to come after 1 month or something. But they just scolded me. And some of them were very considerate, however. But there were a few teachers who scolded me for that and said that I was making excuses. And it made me feel bad. So I am a rebel at heart. So I was like, ab to aur nahi jayega. And then that teacher would be super mad at me and threaten me more. But that's very counterproductive in the end. So it's like when a teacher is having some anger at a student, threatening is, as you said, threatening is not gonna solve it.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's more like there are students like me also who just take it like अब और नहीं जाएगा class.
Yeah.
And
Basically, you shouldn't hit the student's ego.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
I think we have although reached the age of 22, 23. So it's
Yeah.
but you know, for the kids who just come, 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds, it really affects those students
Yeah.
if they are, you know, threatened
Mm.
to not. That student might start going for classes, but वो पीछे बैठ के फोन भी चला सकता है.
Yeah,
तो उसका
happens.
आना नहीं आना एक ही बात
Happens,
होती है.
yeah.
Correct.
That happens a lot, in fact.
Yeah, that I myself have done that.
Same.
अटेंडेंस के लिए
my
जाते
God.
हैं
Guilty
क्योंकि
as charged.
पढ़ना अल्टीमेटली यूट्यूब से ही है इस टीचर का
Yeah.
सब्जेक्ट तो मैं
आप लोगों को
जाऊँ.
लाइसेंस मिल गया, एग्जाम दे दिया, तो आप पीछे मोबाइल.
Sometimes I would purposely just sit and play some game at the back because that teacher scolded me.
But
Oh
there
my
are
God.
teachers जिनके क्लासेस में मैं फोन निकाल भी नहीं सकते हम लोग because that teacher is very attentive और वो टीचर्स पढ़ाते भी अच्छे से हैं. उन क्लासेस में फोन निकालने का ना चांस मिलता है ना आपको मन करेगा.
मन भी नहीं करता, yeah.
क्योंकि पढ़ाते हैं वो अच्छे से. बट जैसे जो मैंने आई लेबल्ड द टीचर इज बैड, जो मैंने ट्रेड्स बोले, अगर वो ट्रेड्स हैं तब तो यही करते हैं सर.
ओके, टीचर्स का फ्रेंडली होना अच्छी बात है कि बुरा बात है?
अच्छी बात है
Sir, I consider it अच्छी बात also.
टू फ्रेंडली होना?
Too friendly is not professional,
ओके.
but a little bit of friendliness should be there because that is how a teacher for a student feels approachable, relatable, and all the desirable qualities that we discussed. So if a teacher is friendly, then we have that not completely casual but a air of casualness. So you feel free to, even if you're having a doubt. I have had many batchmates come to me to explain certain topics to them, and then I'll be like, you went to classes na, sir taught you this, right? So that girl would say, yeah, he did, but I didn't understand, he was too fast at it. And then I was like, why didn't you ask? So they were like, I'm so scared because that teacher is strict. So a little bit of friendliness makes them approachable. So students don't basically that fear is not there, and fearing your teacher in that sense is basically counterproductive.
Yeah. Your take?
So this similar thing that I have also seen all these memes and all where they're like the teacher says कि 100 बार पूछोगे मैं 100 बार समझाऊंगा, but you ask them the second time, they get agitated and they're like नहीं समझ में नहीं आता कि एक बार में. Although I have been lucky enough to not see such teachers in real life, but ऐसा होता है.
So if you are given a choice to choose a teacher for one particular course, teacher A, master in that domain, but quite strict, decently strict, not very strict. Teacher B, decently knowledgeable, but pretty friendly.
And A is not friendly.
A is not friendly, but master in that subject. The second one is friendly, but decently, has decent grasp in the subject. Whom would you choose?
I would go for teacher B because as far as depth of knowledge is concerned, I can compensate that with reading on my own.
Okay.
And online resources and everything, and other online educators. But if I have a doubt, I cannot approach teacher A. So if I'm I'm self-studying and I'm learning and I get a doubt, I can at least approach teacher B for that.
Yeah, I would go for B as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting your answers. Basically, it's just like a survey questions that I'm taking.
On behalf of the teachers.
Yeah, I don't know how many teachers would agree to what you guys are saying. I'm in agreement of what you are saying because as a student as well, I used to go to teachers who maybe not necessarily the masters in the domain, but then who were approachable. As you've said, because there are ways for us to learn by ourselves.
Yeah.
But the person who is up there for me should be somebody whom I can approach for any kind of stupid doubts I might have because nothing is stupid if that is something that's a problem from my perspective, right? My perspective of stuff can be stupid to you, but then when you are being just brushed aside that this question is stupid, that is when you lose that, let's say, connection that you tend to build.
You wouldn't want to approach them again.
Yes, exactly.
Because you've been called stupid for approaching.
Yes, exactly. So spoken about the teachers, now come back to your ground now, your level playing ground. Who are good students? Who are bad students? Whom would you consider good person? Whom would you consider bad person? Good influence, bad influence? Just the traits?
Sir, as far as good and bad is concerned, I feel like it's a very dynamic value. It can change. For example, if I take myself as a sample piece, then I am a good student because I study. If asked a question, I can answer it. I can explain it to other people. I have good grades. But I'm a bad student because I don't show up in class.
The results are fine. No, showing in
Yeah.
the class. Yet again, I mean, I would consider somebody a bad student if the results are bad and the behaviors are bad. If you don't
No.
show up in the class, we don't know what your bad behavior is. We don't see you. Anyways, continue.
So even if say I take that example where I was going to class but I was on my phone, then I'm a bad student there.
You are a bad student that
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
But I am studying and I'm scoring good. So in that makes me a good student also. So a student can be good and bad from my perspective and based on the narrative that we're talking about. And as far as a good person and bad person and good influence and bad influence is concerned, we all have basic societal constructs that what is good and what is bad, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. And yeah, of course, if anybody asks you to act in a certain way or influences you to act in a certain way, which causes problem to other people, then that's a bad influence. Be it in classroom, be it outside classroom, be it in your office, workspace, anything. But basically it all comes down to your comfort should not be a discomfort to me. Whatever you're doing, you should be happy doing it, whatever, but it shouldn't affect other people in a bad way. So as long as I believe if you're doing something bad but it's not affecting me, then it's okay, you do whatever you're doing. I won't label you good or bad because at least you're happy, or maybe you're not, I don't it doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, for me also, if I talk about good students, then there are students in my class, basically those people from whom we take notes.
Yeah.
The ones who regularly go to, I mean, it's good for them. They are
Yeah.
like, the ideal student. I look at them and I feel like यही करने मेरे parents ने मुझे भी यहाँ पे भेजा था
Exactly.
कि सुबह उठ के 8 से 5 जितने भी classes है सारे classes जाओ, take all the notes, stay attentive in the classes, doesn't matter. And those students I've seen, regardless of how the teacher is, they will sit, they will not take out their phone, they will make notes and everything. And they might study later on from YouTube, but class में वो basic code of conduct
They're such ideal students.
Yeah, ideal students. So those students, फिर उनके marks अच्छे ही आ जाते हैं. So those students I would consider good student. अब इसका opposite देखा जाए तो वही bad होगा. Somebody who doesn't go for classes. But then again, like she said, it's a very gray area. Some people go for classes, but then phone चलाते हैं. Or
some people are even attentive in class but can't get marks, but that doesn't
Yeah.
make them a bad student
Yeah,
either.
and it's not like they're not putting efforts.
Yeah.
Some people do put
Yeah,
efforts.
they're trying their best.
Yeah, and then ऐसे भी students होते हैं ना, family ने pressurize के engineering लो तो आ
Yeah.
गए. So I have seen such students. They're like कैसे भी बस 4 साल खत्म हो जाए. I have seen the relief in those students when we had the last examination. They were like, finally, the something which I didn't want to have done it. I have passed by God's grace. भगवान की दया से अभी मतलब समर देने बस ना आना पड़े.
जहर
But-
पी लिया 4 साल का.
जहर पी लिया अच्छे से. Anyhow, they just pulled off the semesters. So, and if we talk about good and bad influence, then I think it depends from person to person. Somebody who might be, I would label as a good influence as a bad influence for you might be good, and somebody you label as good might be bad for me. So it depends on the perspective. Yeah. That's all.
So both of you have been away from home since last 6 years,
Yes, sir.
and predominantly you were here for academics,
Hmm.
and your parents paid for your academics. You cracked the nearest entrance examination for academics. So how do you actually manage to work in mentally manage to put your energy in other other aspects of the university apart from academics, and be okay with it, to know that aren't you guilty that I'm here only for academics but then I'm doing everything else apart from academics?
So guilt तो होता है. I do. I mean, when I pick up my mom's phone call and she's like, whenever I call you, you're either dancing or you're either on stage or you're either with your friends outside. And I don't know why she always calls when I'm outside with my friends. I call her at a certain time when I'm in my hostel. so that I'm not with my friends. But then somehow when she calls, I'm always outside. So there was a time, even now, today she called and she was like, "Are you with your friends or are you in a room?" Even when my exams are over, but my project is approaching. So I was guilty, but then I also knew that I would not be able to explain it to them that I am actually managing my time, because they expect some CGPA of a GPA of 9 or something. They're like, if she can top, why can't you top? If that person is getting 9 GPA, why is your GPA and
Indian parents
CGPA
ka
8 and all of that?
expectation
Yeah,
na,
the
topper wala.
comparison. I don't blame them for that. Maybe they obviously they're concerned about me, and that's why they want me to perform better. And they know that अगर ये लड़की एग्जाम से 1 महीने पहले पढ़ के इतना ला सकती है, तो अगर वो पूरे सेमेस्टर पढ़ेगी तो और अच्छा करेगी. Maybe leave the toppers behind. So that's their intention. I do get the intention, but it's also that if I do that, I won't be able to be happy. मैं वो कर ही नहीं पाऊंगी एक सेमेस्टर में. अगर मैं पहले से शुरू किया, मैं ऐसे पढ़ूंगी बहुत टाइम बाकी, और लास्ट में जाके मैं 1 महीने पहले करूंगी. तो इससे अच्छा जो टाइम मैं गवा सकती हूँ बुक्स के साथ बैठ के, वो मैं कहीं और लगा दूँ. एंड इट्स नॉट लाइक उससे मुझे कुछ लॉस हुआ है. I've always gained. Even if I have tried out something and it hasn't worked out for me, that also is a profit for me. I know what not to do. So that way I have not been really guilty, because at the end of the day, if now I look at myself, they are happy that I got into IIT Jodhpur. I am happy that I just did not study and I did a lot of things. So an bhala to sab bhala.
Yeah.
Marisha?
As far as my narrative is concerned, I have grown up in a family where my parents and my relatives and everybody are very, say, open to experiences. My dad, he is a dental surgeon, but he is also a biker. He is also a music composer. He
He's a
can
vlogger.
dance, and yeah, a lot
What
of things.
vlogger?
Yeah, he vlogs also. He went on a Ladakh trip and he has made a whole vlog of it. So I have seen my guardians be very multifaceted since I was born. So that is normal for me. And I remember having this one conversation when I went for my internship training in Manali. And that was at NHPC. And half of my time would go in transit from one place to other place, because in a hydropower plant, every single thing, the dam, the powerhouse, everything is located in different locations, and traveling in mountains takes a lot of time. So one day I was just saying ki, we spend so much money and half the time I'm just traveling from one place to other place. And my dad was just like, you're seeing mountains, that's a good experience.
Brilliant.
We don't spend money for a certain task, we spend money for that experience. So if I think of it from that perspective, so as you said, sir, they have spent money for my academics and sent me here. They could have spent money on my academics and sent me to some good college in Indore as well. But they sent me here because I remember them telling me that this is gonna be a very different place for you. It's gonna teach you a lot of things. So coming to such a remote institute here, for me, such a faraway institute, taught me much more than just academics. So I think it was worth it that I also didn't just study and did a lot more other things. Because at this point, I believe I'm somebody who can, if you pick me up and throw me in a random country with completely different culture, I will be able to survive happily there. Because I have learned to adapt to it.
And we also have this saying in hostel, no, कि नेरिस्ट के हॉस्टल में रहेगा तो कभी कहीं भी रह लेंगे. Such the food has been decent in our hostel compared to boys' hostel. But we can be honest here, right?
Yeah, that's what I need.
Finally, but we have been saying, I have said this in front of teachers also about the condition of the hostel. They ask us. I'm like, for girls it's decently fine, but boys' hostel, the food. Even today when I went to drop off to see off a friend of mine who's leaving, I was like, hostel ka food to miss karega. This is my last lunch. I miss my last lunch, by the way. So yeah.
This morning even I was thinking that this is probably gonna be the last time I'm gonna eat in hostel. I don't usually eat in hostel. I'm a foodie, and if the taste is not good, then I just can't eat it. But then I went to the hostel mess and it was a very bad dish, and I was like, leave it.
आखिरी ये farewell तो कर देता प्यार से.
थोड़ा सा खा लिया.
Okay, so like your communication with your dad, as I got it from like whatever discussion you made about your NHPC stuff, is quite candid and very open, right?
Yeah.
You with your mom, I think your mom is conservatively strict,
Hmm.
right? I
Hmm.
mean, the conventional parents would be as.
Hmm.
And as you both have mentioned, that there are teachers, certain teachers who are very strict as well.
Hmm.
Do you think this, strictness that actually enlarges the gap between the teacher and student and parents and their children is getting bigger, or these days, I don't know, I need Gen Z's point of view. These days, this is actually diminishing.
Sir, from what I have seen in around me, my conversation with my parents is very cool and very candid. Where we just sit and we talk about anything. But I consider myself lucky to be able to do that because that
Okay,
is not
okay,
common.
fine. What about, like, do you think the gap between teacher and students, we have suddenly stopped talking, or there has to be more, spaces where we speak like this? How to deal with toxicity, be it coming from parenting, be it coming from teaching, be it coming from friendship or relationship.
So maybe you can find a family in your friends if you have the right friends. And yes, as she said, just move out as soon as possible. That's exactly what my friend, it's a bold step, but that's exactly what she is planning on doing.
Has formed this notion that parents can never be wrong. But I
Yeah.
feel parents are also human beings. They can commit mistakes. They're human beings. They will commit mistakes. They will shout at us for no
Yeah.
reason if they're having a bad day, because we also do the same.
कहीं का गुस्सा कहीं पे मेरे पे निकाल रही हो.